All right, everybody, welcome back to episode 8 of Modern Running. As you can see, we're here with the one and only Andy Goelz. Just for those who don't know, he ran in college a 154 800, a 349 1500, a 418 mile, 851 3K, 1525 5K. He ran the 400 hurdles once, it looks like, in 101.95, which is pretty impressive. I'm sure there's a story there. Steeplechase, 3K steeplechase, a 9:28. And we can't leave out the 8K time in cross country of 25:29. So all around great runner. And he's going to kind of share his story and his experience with us today, which we are extremely grateful for. So thanks for coming on and talking to us.
Absolutely. My pleasure. It's kind of weird hearing your whole college career kind of boil down to about 10 seconds there.
4 years down to 10 seconds. That's what it comes to. Or even longer for you because you were a graduate.
Yeah. I had redshirted my senior year for cross country, and that got me able to run my 5th year. And I studied abroad sophomore year, and I got to run my 5th year as well. But we'll get to that later.
That'll come.
Yeah, all good. So I guess I'll start from the top, how I got into running.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of weird, probably not as traditional as most. I guess first and foremost, my oldest brother and my dad actually ran in high school. They were pretty stellar athletes for their time. So I thought to myself, I have the same body type as both of them. I think I'd be pretty good at it. But I didn't really try cross country or track until until I think end of middle school, where I was actually playing baseball about like 10 years at that time. And what happened was it was crazy. I played baseball till high school, and oftentimes when I would get up to bat, we had this larger lady who would drive around in a golf cart around the entire complex. She was very loud. We called her the 50-50 lady because she'd always do the 50-50 raffle. She's like, 50-50, buy a raffle ticket. And I was like, all right, cool. Super nice lady. And the loudest cheer you would ever have in the park. So every time I'd get up to bat, I would step in the box, you like hold up the hand a little bit. So
look good.
Oh yeah. And then the 50-50 lady just always shout out, "Hey, legs, you got this, legs." So, like at that time I was very disproportionate. I was like 70% legs, probably still am, probably closer to 60%. So I was like, that's weird. But they had played me in center field and pitcher, and I could cover back and forth a lot. And I was often the pinch runner as well. So whenever they needed me, I would kind of sprint back and forth. So that's kind of like
guy.
Exactly for baseball. For baseball.
Okay.
It's a little bit different with them boys there. So that was the first time I realized I was kind of fast, and I tried my hand in cross country for middle school. I think I was top 3 for the guys. And then that kind of pushed me into the high school realm of things. And after the first year of cross in high school, I bumped up from JV to varsity. And that was a big bump where I was like, hey, maybe I'm kind of good at this thing. And then things started falling together during middle of high school with, I think I broke 10 minutes my sophomore year for the 2 mile in high school. And then I got that down by senior year to I think it was 9:27 for indoor, which was pretty solid.
God.
That's solid.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I was stoked. I actually ran against Edward Cheserek indoor at Easterns at the Armory in New York City, and that was
crazy.
Awesome. Yeah, the coolest part about it is that he didn't lap me. That was probably the best part.
That's an accomplishment.
That was the biggest takeaway.
Right? Yeah, I was pretty stoked.
That's a good day.
Which was really nice. I think the biggest takeaway from high school there was really really just try hardest, run your own race, and just get at it. It was fun. I feel like I went to high school more to run than go to school.
I agree.
Yeah.
But it was a blast. And there that was when I had to make a decision because my times were pretty decent. I had 2 offers from 2 universities to go full ride for the 4 years, but in my heart I knew I wanted to go and be a physical therapist. So both those schools, actually one of those schools had a PT program, but the way their years spaced out, I had to do 7 instead of 6 like they do at LVC.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So although the 4 years would have been free, those last 3 years would have been around like $20,000 more than if I went to LVC for the first 6 years. So
Wow.
it was pretty clear for LVC. Plus,
Okay.
You got to get out in the workforce earlier, and you got to start making money earlier. So all in all, it was a hard decision for a 17-year-old to make. You know?
Yeah, I was gonna say
definitely.
that's some pretty intense stuff you're dealing with there.
Yeah, it was cool, but part of me kind of wishes I kind of just went to like a D1 school full ride just to hang out and have fun, and just like be an athlete.
Right.
Would have been sweet, But the D3 schools are awesome. I kind of thought coming into it, I was like Division III, like I'm just gonna wipe up the competition.
Right.
And I thought I was like this hardo trying to like just gonna kill it, and I got humbled real quick. There's some studs in D3.
I was gonna say there are some serious runners
are.
in D3.
Oh yeah, I think like the biggest defining factor between like D3 and D1 is obviously there's like the upper echelon of D1 for sure, but the depth in D1 compared to D3 is just insurmountable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I thought was wild.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's what kind of got me to LVC. I'd say besides the whole financial part of it, it was kind of destiny to come to LVC, kind of fate, which is kind of weird. I'll tell you why. I'll kind of unpack that. It was senior year. I think it was November. No, I believe October. And my dad was like, you gotta see the school in person. It's a nice school. I was like, yeah, sure. So backstory, I live in New Jersey by the beach. So for me to get out there is like 2 hours and 45 minutes. And I was like, this is a trek. But my dad's like, I'll drive. So it was my dad, my mom, and myself. And for the most part, I just kind of slept in the car till there. I was like, whatever. No, it doesn't matter. Classic like high school, like it doesn't matter. I'm like chilling in my like giant varsity jacket that I'm only gonna wear for 4 years. That cost like $800. Like, oh man,
that's amazing.
So we get on campus, and I was like, oh, this is like a nice little campus. It felt super homey. I was stoked. I was like, this is nice. And like it was so small that I knew I wasn't just gonna be a number there, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
But it was weird because I think it was the same size, if not smaller, than my high school. Which
really?
Like,
that's how mine is.
odd, yeah. So I was like, oh, there's this many kids in my high school. Is it gonna be weird? But what was nice was that like in high school you kind of grow up with all these kids, so you know all their backstories, and you're like, oh, like Tom did that, Lisa did this.
You know everything about everyone.
Exactly. But when you come to a smaller school, same size, you're like, oh, you're all new faces, new stories, new people to learn.
Yep.
But bringing it back in, we had gone on like a self-guided tour just by ourselves. And you know what? This definitely was not October. It was January, because we were going over the bridge from the academic side to the athletic side. And this lady was walking her dog. My dad struck up a conversation, and he goes, oh, my son runs track, yada, yada. She goes, oh, you know what today is? Today's actually the LVC indoor meet.
Oh,
wow!
Like, we gotta
what a coincidence.
Go. Yeah, I was like, did my dad plan this? I don't know. But she actually worked in admissions and was like, I know the head coach, Coach Byler. And so she walks us down there into the old Arnold Sports Center.
Good old place.
And it's like loud as anything. And I'm like, what's this rectangular track doing in here?
A track that has 4 corners, baby.
Yep.
Yeah, right. And then with those sides that come down to block off.
They block off like the first 2 lanes.
It was hilarious. So in the track meet's in full swing, and the admissions lady calls over Coach Byler, and it's like, hey, we have a potential recruit for you guys. And then me and her started talking a little bit. Kind of came to fruition that I was more of a distance guy based
Right.
off my times and stuff. And so she goes, "Oh, you know what? You should talk to Coach O'Brien." And I talked to Coach O'Brien, and that guy is like the most genuine individual in the world.
I agree.
Like when he's with you, right? Like when he's with you, he's with you.
Right.
You know, total bro.
I just had a talk with him today. It was great.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He'll talk your ear off, give you all
I was
the
just
life
gonna say
advice.
it was like a 5-minute
You
call
know?
that lasted 30 minutes, but I loved it.
Yeah, it's so classic. You know, it gets hard, and I still struggle with it. And I've been out for pretty much 3 years now from my grad school, and still trying to call him James is just doesn't happen. So I'm like it's either like James or Coach, and I'm like,
Right.
Yep.
That's funny.
but him and I start talking, and him and I are just going back and forth, talking for a while. And he I mean, obviously he had to get back to his athletes, so it was cut relatively short, despite how much I know he would have talked for about 3 hours with me. And then from there, I think we scheduled up something to come back and have an overnight visit, and I guess a recruiting visit from then, and that was fun. That was pretty good. I mean, it was okay, but I knew I was going there before the recruiting visit. It was more so just getting to know the guys on the team.
Got it.
Yep.
A good time. That was actually when LBC had the UG, but like the UG not what it is now.
I was gonna say,
like,
I've heard some fun stories about that place.
Oh, dude, yeah. So my first year as a freshman is what MUN looks like now, and then it was a weird style beforehand. It was like it was just like a big open concept with like a classic food line, and in the middle there was like a step up into like this tiny half-walled room where you could eat food, and there's tables on the outside. Super awkward.
Huh.
But anyway, the UG then was like a nightclub, like a legitimate nightclub, it seems.
Right.
Now it's like as if it's as bright as like in your room, you know,
it's like a
just
high school
chilling.
dance now.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Now you always got to keep that distance.
Yep.
That's funny.
So then I think that same year I'd committed to LVC for the PT program, and yeah, that's kind of how I got to LVC. I don't know if you guys have any questions about that.
No, that's good. So
No,
you just kind of, it was the other two questions or the other two schools were out of the question because of finances, and you knew LVC was just better in the long run with all the other added benefits, because we do have like a great PT program. I've read like one of the best in the nation. So
yeah, for sure.
So
yeah,
it was
it was like big on finances. The running thing, I knew I'm you're not going to go pro by like middle school, right?
Right. You can tell.
Yeah. So that was a tough pill for me to swallow as a cocky 17-year-old kid. But it was a big thing was finances, and then time out working.
Right. I want to know, you said you touched on, you thought you were going to come in and sweep stuff up in D3, and that's like mentality of like big fish, small pond kind of thing. So I want to know, what was kind of like the moment where you realized, okay, these guys are legit, and how did that help kind of shape who you became as a runner?
Yeah, great question. I'll tell you what, humbled to the utmost first cross country race. It was like going from 5K to 8K was like no other. I was like, oh, like at the 5K mark, you're like sitting pretty. You're like, I'm running slower. It doesn't really matter. I'm killing it. I went through in like 16 something or like 17 something. You're like, that's just whatever, easy. And then because my high school PR was like I think it was like 15:42, which is pretty decent. And then and then I think our first race was at Misericordia. I don't know if you guys been there. Right?
Yeah.
I have
been there once our freshman year.
Okay, it's hilly. Especially coming from where I'm from. I got like 6 feet of elevation. If you follow me on Strava, that's like as high as I go around here.
Right.
And so after that 5K mark, and you have 2K to go, or like whatever. It's like just over a
Mhm.
mile. Oh my gosh, it's like a bear just attacks you, and you got nothing left in the sails, and you're just like huffing and puffing. So that was the first one for sure. That was super humbling. And then I think it came down to winter track, to where it was just like you're I don't know, you're in your seated events. You're like, okay, I ran this time in high school. I should be pretty good. And then at that point, I was like, all right, cool, easy enough. I'm just gonna go out there and kill it. And
Mhm.
there's just a different caliber of athletes out there who've just been doing it longer, and
Right.
who actually like can master the race. Like for instance, if you're gonna run like a 5 flat, you have certain splits you gotta hit. But some of these boys can run through and do like a super like pedestrian pace, like 400, and then come through hot, and that just like completely zaps your legs.
Right.
Yep.
So that was a big turnaround, and I thought I was like hot shit then. And I was like, okay, I actually need to start working harder than I did in high school. And what was nice is that like Coach O'Brien, he doesn't care how great you are, as long as you have that desire to work, he's
Right.
all for it.
Right.
And he's gonna lay it out in front of you, and you just gotta attack, which is beautiful.
That is one of my
Yeah.
favorite things about him, and that's really like one of the first things I noticed is he was like just
Yeah.
committed to working. It doesn't matter how fast, how slow, how in between
Mhm.
you are. If you were committed to working, he was committed to you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
which
love that
is
about him.
which is so great for a coach. He
Mhm.
doesn't play favorites.
Right.
All he does is like, I mean, the only way he would play favorites is if you're doing the work. But if
Right.
everybody's doing the work, you have no favorites.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yep.
Exactly.
So yeah, so that kind of shaped me into working real hard. I must say, in addition to that, freshman year, I got to know Mike Harnish pretty well, which I'm sure you both have heard of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, he's killer. He got, I mean, he went to nationals a ton of times, which is
Absolutely
great.
insane.
And him and I just kind of linked up. We actually weren't roommates freshman year. Sophomore year to his senior year is when we did become roommates, and at that point we just kind of fed off each other and really just worked hard and
It's
kind
like
of
a
pushed each other.
dynamic duo.
Yeah, that was
Mhm.
fun. And I'd be remiss to say that Elliot Bonds. I don't know if you ever heard about him either.
Yeah, I've run with
Yeah.
him before.
Yep.
He was pretty crucial in that as well, because it was kind of like us three. For cross, we would really attack it, and then for track it'd be a little bit more just Mike and I in our respective events, where I would kind of work down to the 15, and Mike would kind of work up
Yep.
to the 15. So he would have that speed that would push me at the end, and I'd be more so
Okay.
trying to grind him at the
So
beginning.
I'm kind of curious because I live very close to the college. Like everyone in my high school and all the high schools around my area, they know what LVC is just because they drive by it just about every week. But you said you're like 2 hours or 2.5 hours away. Like, how did you like hear about the school?
Oh yeah, great question. Yeah, a lot of people ask me that, especially a lot of the like a ton of my friends as in high school are like, why are you going to PA? We got plenty of PT.
Yeah, because it's like a small school, like so far away.
Oh yeah. Honestly, LVC had a lot of selling points for me. The big thing was the 6-year program, the accelerated program for PT, which was awesome. But also their financial aid really killed it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like 90% of the people of the students have some sort of financial aid, and you can qualify for like the VIC-ROY, which is like half tuition if you're in the X percentage of your class. So who really found it for me was actually my guidance counselor, Alan Cuthbert. He was also my cross country and partly my track coach. So
Okay.
he kind of spurred that along. He kind of like handed the torch off well to Coach O'Brien, despite them
Yeah.
never ever talking. But
Yeah.
but yeah, he was a good guy. He had helped push me to a lot of stuff, and help. He actually would be a big proponent of trying to get me and my buddy Jihad, who was more so sprints in high school, to some of the higher level races and meets, just to try and see and try and compete against high level people, which was really nice. So
Okay.
Yeah, that is really
that's
good,
cool.
especially for a high school coach to take initiative like that.
Yeah.
yeah, it was big. It was big.
Catch
So-
the star young.
PT, hard major, 6-year program. good runner, both take lots of time. How do you balance it?
Well, you know what? That's like the question, the
Right.
college question, right?
Right.
Because you got with that triangle where it's like school, sleep, and friends,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Then you're an athlete and you make that thing a square and you
Exactly.
got sports,
Mhm.
right? I must say, sleep was something I did not prioritize, and I
Okay.
kick myself for that now. You know,
Okay.
it was like at the end of every semester, I would get sick because I'd probably sleep 5 at most 7 hours a night.
Really?
So
Jeez.
I really wish
Wow.
I got that sleep, like knew what sleep was, or
Mhm.
like not you know what sleep was, but like how to sleep well.
Right. Right.
But that's where everything kind of took a hit because I would go all out, wake up at like before the 8 a.m.s. You know how terrible that is to try and get your like shakeout in the 3 miles,
Right. Right.
and then you know you'd have your 8 a.m. try and snag some breakfast in the meantime, and then at 3:30 you got practice for like 2-ish hours.
Mhm.
Then afterwards eat dinner with the team, and you know how that can get kind of rambunctious and kind of
Yes, that can get dragged on.
hang on for a long time, which
Yes.
is fun in itself. You know, the camaraderie, which is something you totally miss after college.
Right.
But then after that, Mike used to give me so much crap, as well as Nick Scullin. They used to just tear me apart. They're like, "Where you going? You going to study? Come on!" So
I can hear Nick saying that now.
yeah, right. Come on, yeah. So I used to get heckled by them because I would just go straight to studying and then just study till whenever I needed to. Which oftentimes, like looking back at it, you probably studied anywhere from like 3 to 8 hours a day with everything going on,
Gosh.
which was kind of a lot. But yeah, that balance was not a balance. It was a lot of give and take for sure.
Right.
Where like
Mhm.
once you got home from college, it was like sleep city. It was
Yes.
like sleep
Yep.
train.
Yep.
So
So you said anywhere between 3 to 8 hours a day for studying.
yeah, for sure.
So you got classes for however many hours. Most of the time it's what, like 3 hours a day probably in class. Then,
Yeah.
but
And
I don't
then
know how PT is because I'm a
grad
business
school kind of
major.
pushes
So.
it to the limits where you got like 3-hour classes occasionally.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because
so you're
it's yeah.
insane amounts of class. We'll just put that. We'll put that in there.
Too much, right? Nah.
Too much class.
Yeah.
Insane amounts of studying, all for class. Then you've got running. And how many miles was like, I don't know. I don't want to say like average because obviously freshman year, coach isn't big on the whole high mileage thing.
Correct.
So freshman year, you don't really do a lot. But like kind of building up, what would you say was your range?
From my recollection, and I know Coach O'Brien would know the exact number because he just knows all of
Yes,
our
it does.
exact race
It's just a
times.
bank up there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. I would say around 60-ish miles a week would be like prime time for most of the seasons, I'd say.
Okay.
All
Got
right.
it. So balancing that out, any shakeouts, like you said, waking up before 8 a.m.s, which is already hard. 8 a.m. suck.
Yeah.
I'll stand by that till the day I die.
Mhm.
8 a.m. suck. So waking up before 8
Doesn't
a.m.s, not at all. And doing shakeouts, running, something people already don't like before class.
I didn't even think about doing that. I would never think
That
about
was
doing that.
automatically just an out. There's no way.
Yeah.
Dude, you should do it if there's a way to get your mileage in easy, and then so you can like have the night to yourself. Shakeouts.
I kind of like that idea. Instead of doing them at
Yeah.
9, 10, 11 o'clock at night,
Really late at
waking
like
up
yeah.
a little bit earlier. I
Yeah.
like that
Oh
idea.
gosh. Yeah. I learned a ton about sleep with that stuff. If you want to get some good sleep, you don't want to work out a couple hours before sleep.
Mhm.
So,
I feel like starting runs or doing runs just in the morning. I don't do a lot because I work in the morning, and waking up early is difficult. But like I feel like doing runs in the morning, you just feel so much more accomplished starting your day.
Yep.
yeah, you kind of own your day instead of your day owning you type deal.
Right.
I tried to start all of my runs in the morning now, and it seems to be working a lot better.
That's good.
Because
That's good.
like you said, you feel accomplished immediately.
Mm-hmm. And it's I'll tell you what, it's hard to get those legs moving in the morning. You know, they
Yeah.
kind of feel like cinder blocks a little bit,
Yep.
but it really wakes you up. That's for sure.
It does. Yeah.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So Another question. I'm just question city today, but be prepared for that because I've got a whole bank in here.
That's all good.
So, big time runner, super fast. You know, you're kind of starting to find yourself, junior, senior, grad. What was the biggest thing kind of mentally that pushed you over that limit to kind of hit the next step and become who you were as a runner? I know you said Mike and Elliot kind of carried you a little bit in terms of the times and the stuff like that, and you guys fed off each other. But was there anything else that kind of brought you to where you were?
Yeah, to kind of like push me
Right.
into that next direction, to kind of know that I was like actually like worth being there almost. That I was like, yeah, you know, like I should be here. For the most part.
You earned it.
Yeah, I'd say it took till max outdoor freshman year. That was a big turnaround point. That was yeah, it was, I think the first day. It was a 3,000 steeplechase on the first day of max outdoor.
That's a great race to start with.
That morning, yeah, that was sweet. That morning I had a chem final that I had to kind of rush through just to make it to the MAC, and it was at E-Town, Elizabethtown, when they were actually in the MAC. Now they're in a different conference.
Landmark, I think, is what E-Town is in there.
Yes, yeah, Landmark. So I think I carpooled with Elliot there, and once I got there, coach was like, "All right, you got to warm up." I'm like, "Okay, cool." I had like 10 minutes to warm up. I forgot my spikes actually, so I had to borrow one of my buddy Nick D'Angelo. He was actually my host for my recruiting visit the year prior, and so I'd use his spikes, and his spikes were like a size and a half too small. So I warmed up for like 10-15 minutes.
That would be so stressful.
Oh, I was going to say, we're going to have to break this down in a minute.
So I'm like swinging my leg. What's up?
I said, we're just going to have to break this down. Once you're done with this story, I need to hear it again in a minute.
You're a little choppy, Griffin.
This is, my internet's just a great place. I love it here. Yeah, I'm good. All right, so keep going.
For me, your picture was frozen on a pretty cute one.
We're
so I'm just swinging my leg at the starting line. I'm like, I got an inadequate warm up here. And so little did I know, I actually didn't know pretty much any of the runners before the race until Coach O'Brien told me afterwards that there were 2 All-Americans in there for the 1,500. I was like, dang. So we started off the steeplechase, and I'm just chilling. And it was a pretty hot day out. It was pretty humid. And we're kind of just working around the track, and it's the race is 7.5 laps long, and around like I think the 4.5 lap mark, like me and a pack start to distance from the rest, and then I'm just kind of chilling. I'm like, this isn't that bad, and just kind of cruising along. It definitely hurt, you know. If you ever run the steeplechase, it kind of just hurts in general.
Just everything hurts.
Yeah. And then I think like with a lap and a half to go, I started to kind of pull away. This was thanks to a lot of the workouts Coach O'Brien had me do, which was pretty awesome, which were pretty good. That were like super steeple specific, where you're just grinding, like just feeling terrible. So I'm starting to pull away, and I'm not looking back, and I'm just like going for it. And I should preface that before this was, I believe, my second steeplechase, my third steeplechase. And the one before this, I kind of just cruised, and on that last water barrier at my first steeplechase, I cleared it completely. I didn't even touch the water. I didn't touch
which is
the
difficult.
Barrier.
That is hard to do.
Yeah. But you look so cool doing it. So during the MAC race, it's coming down to the last lap, and I'm like, Andrew, put the burners on. And I'm like, I jumped the barrier and the water last time. Easy. Little did I know, I was pushing much harder during this race than the last race. And I take my leap of faith, and I'm like full hurdle over the steeple barrier. And I just feel this giant thud against my right knee. And next thing I know, I'm like partially underwater, like half scorpion. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? As fast as I can. And just like sprint while it feels like you have like 10,000 bricks on your back. We got one more jump to do and finish just soaking wet. And then I finally looked behind me and I was like, oh, I won the steeplechase as a freshman. Like, I was like,
which
this
is
is
ridiculous.
dope.
Which is
Yeah.
ridiculous.
So that was really the defining moment when I was like, okay, I'm not the best here by any means, but I know I deserve to be in like the upper echelon of these like D3 runners.
Yeah, you proved your spot.
Yeah.
That's
and
just.
I think. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
And I think like 30 seconds after this, I think Coach Byler was excited, but kind of like you fell type deal. she had helped me a ton with the whole hurdle practice, which was great. And so I was soaking wet, so I gave her a hug. I was like, I still won. It's fine.
That's funny.
It was just silly.
So I just want to, for everybody listening, I want to put some emphasis on this race here because I didn't know anything leading up to this. So like leading up to a race, I like to kind of like, I check out for the day. You said you had a chem exam. Check out. I'm not in it at all. So like that's impressive to me already. Rushing through it, impressive. Getting to the race and only having like 10 minutes to warm up, unbelievably stressful. Not having your spikes in a race that you really need something good on your feet because you're jumping over things. Unbelievably stressful. Like I can't even imagine. I feel like I'd look at coach and be like, dude, I don't know how I'm going to race today. Like I genuinely don't know what's going to happen. I've had 10 minutes to run. My legs are cold and these spikes are pinching my feet. Like I can't imagine. And then to be in a race with like all American runners, clearly good, belonging there as a freshman, I think I'd poop myself because I genuinely don't know how that would go. Falling in a race, especially the steeplechase, one of the most demoralizing things I feel like that can happen. Like if you fall in a steeplechase, like yes, it's possible. Yes, it happens. But like, God, that is just so beating up because everybody saw it. You hear the ooh from the crowd. Everybody, everybody's like, what just happened? Who fell?
Oh yeah.
And then you're over there soaking wet to get up and still finish the race. Not only finish fast, like you said, like you have 100 bricks on your back or 1,000 bricks or whatever it was. Finish fast, finish hard, and win as a freshman. That is insane to me. Absolutely mind-blowing. I just had to say that again. I just had to emphasize that.
Yeah, thank you for that.
It was like
it was fun.
That's insane. You have inspired me. That I hope Coach won't hear this, but if he does, I'm gonna try and hurdle this whole water barrier thing now. He told me the story of the time you fell. He didn't tell me you won, but it's official. I'm gonna try and hurdle it. First practice that we go.
It, like, yeah.
I
practice it. And if you're feeling like spicy, like with like 800 to go, do it because you'll just gain that extra half step on that person next to you, and it'll just like slightly demoralize them.
I just feel like mentally I'll be just grinning ear to ear and be like, I didn't even care if I lose. I just did that.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So falling in a race, I've never done it. I elbowed Nick Scullin once. He did.
He probably had it coming.
He was mad. I'm sure firsthand. He's a very emotional racer, and so he did a steeplechase, and it was at Millersville, I think. He just registered open because he wanted to show coach that he would have been good at it, and he went up with me, and my arms, as a freshman, they just go wherever. I don't control them, and so it went right in the side of his face, and he was like, he yelled a word I won't repeat. But I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Me as this tiny freshman, like I did not know what to do. Like I am so sorry. But I cut his lip. I felt really bad.
It's hard when you're going over those
it is. I can't. My arms, they just do what they want. I don't control.
I feel like I would do one of these things like chicken wings out to the side.
My arms go
to try and like
they just go
get
up.
myself up.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure coach knows that we're gonna clear this water barrier.
It's just what happens, you just gotta take care of it and try not to hit someone, but It happens.
Is what it
Oh,
is.
Griffin's frozen
Oh,
again.
he's frozen there.
His
Why?
internet has some issues.
Oh my gosh. Yo, I'm telling you, I don't know what it is. My internet is just, it doesn't like me. We pay so much money for it. It just doesn't
It
like me.
freezes you on some pretty cute pictures, though.
Well, that's good.
On the bright
I'm
side.
glad we can
Yeah,
get
just
some
like over here
entertainment.
like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. All right, so I have another question. This one, Coach, I know is very he loves talking about it, but he doesn't like talking about it at the same time. So it's your DMR race.
Oh God.
I knew
I
you
have no
didn't.
clue
You
what
knew
this
exactly
is, by
which
the
one
way.
this is. So I don't want to mess up the story, but I know there was a DMR race with some studs, like really, really, really good people. You being one of them, and I think you ran. Was it the mile that you ran? The 1600?
Nah, I was leading off like 1200.
You were the leading off. Okay. Okay, so I think
I could just take it from here if you want.
Yeah, by all means, go ahead, because I don't want to mess this
Yeah.
up. But I know this is a big moment here.
It's a tragic moment that I often about this the other day. We were chatting about cycling because we're getting a little bit older here, so we got to feel fast somehow. So
Right.
we're kind of picking up cycling. Because he had slightly reminded me of what happened, but yeah. So it was it was DMR at Tufts. It was kind of like last chance Swarthmore type deal,
Right.
trying to qualify for indoor nationals. And I mean, race was going great. We had studs there. We had Mike Harnish, obviously a stud, Kyle Frank, super stud there as well, and Nick Scullin, which I think he was a freshman at the time doing the 800, but obviously a stud for sure. He had qualified for nationals, I think, his senior year for indoor or outdoor 800. I forget. But yeah, it was going great. We all warmed up well. We were on the same page. We were on pace to hit this DMR to qualifying time for nationals. And so leading off, gun goes off, just like any other DMR. Not like, I mean, some stress, but I knew I could run the time, and it was gonna happen, right? I was gonna hit like 3:0 something, like 3:07 or like 3:01, and so go through the 400. Everybody's in a pack. I think it's like just under a minute, and then go through the 800 in like 2 flat. Which I was like, yeah, this is easy on time. I can definitely kind of spin through another 400, no problem. And so I was kind of like riding on someone's shoulder in lane 2. And I knew I shouldn't have been there, but I was like, maybe this just feels right. And then I went to go and tuck in because they're like, oh, tuck in, whatever. One of the coaches was like, tuck in, that's better. And I was like, all right, cool. So I tucked in, and I kind of like feathered it back a little bit. And so I knew it kind of felt wrong, but I was like, whatever, it's going to be an easy 400 to go. I can kind of sprint through, maybe even break 3, which would be dope. So I'm jogging through, and I think it was maybe 400 to go, where coming off the like the finish line, the start line there, like I get tripped up in the back, and someone like kind of kicks my foot, and I eat it so hard. Did not drop the baton. Key. So
I was gonna say thankfully for that.
Yeah. And like me and like 3 other dudes fell, and we were all on pace to just kind of kill it. We had a good pack going along. I got up, and it hurt way more than freshman year trying to go and like get up after that steeplechase. It felt terrible. And I just remember Cynthia Adams, now Cynthia Harness, actually just go, Andy, this is where champions are made. Go. And I'm like, oh my God, I gotta go. And I think what happened was just like falling, so much energy is like taken out of you from just trying not to eat it. So I just start going. I was way too spicy off the get-go, which I kind of think like zapped my legs for the last 200. I forget what time I actually finished in. I think it was like think it was still 3:0 something, but it was a couple seconds too slow, unfortunately.
Okay.
And then like Frank killed it for the 400, absolutely murdered it. And then Nick did his part, and then Harnish did even more of his part than what he needed to. So we unfortunately, I think, missed the time by a little bit. And you know what? You kind of win some, you lose some. I felt bad for the seniors for sure, because definitely that was part of it. But I think a big takeaway, and I wish I had learned this sooner, was really like run your own race. Kind of feel out the race, despite people giving you advice, and that's all good. Only you really know how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely when you get out there, first of all, have fun. That's kind of why you do it. You know you're there to kind of like kill it, and you have a mission, but you really just know how you feel and run your own race.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good advice.
It was definitely a growing experience.
Yeah, I'd say. That's so, and I know Coach, because he loves statistics. He's told me this probably 4 or 5 times. He looks every year at the DMR indoor qualifying list, and I hope this doesn't rub salt in the wound. I really hope not, but apparently, like, your time from that year, every year since then would have qualified for nationals. So it was like,
For real?
It was like literally every single year. Like that one year is the time you missed it by like point something, and like every year after, yeah, every year after you would have qualified.
It just wasn't meant to be. It just wasn't in the cards.
That's a crazy mentality to have, because I would still be. I know Coach is still like, I don't like talking about it, but at the same time, I like talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still pretty bitter balls about it, but in the next sense, I can't go back and change anything.
Right.
Yeah. I'll tell you what though, warming up there, that was the Tufts was at Boston or whatever. Gee, there was like feet of snow on the ground trying to warm up out there.
Really?
It was terrible warm up conditions.
I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I hate warming up in the cold.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible. But yeah, no, that was great. That was fun in the sense of like kind of like hanging out with everybody there. And we knew we had the talent. But, you know, it's hard to get 4 people to perform very well on the same day.
Right. Right. That's
true. Yeah.
I could never be part of a relay, because like I just feel like mentally there's so much more than a regular race. Like you genuinely have your whole team riding on you, like your whole relay team, and you're such a close-knit group of guys because you know what you're going through, because you're each going through the same thing, or in the DMR similar things, you know. And that's just a lot. I don't know if I can handle that pressure.
I think I had a picture in my little scrapbook of that day. Let me pull it up. Oh god, I can't take it out. But like we're all smiling, but we're not really smiling here.
Oh,
that was like it was tough. That was 2015 indoor track and field.
I was a sophomore in high school. Does that make you feel old?
Oh, yeah, dude. It's been happening more and more. Yeah, it's terrible.
I was going to say, I remember you saying, like, I looked up, I think some of your times or something like that, and I read 2014 on there. I was like, I was a freshman in high school. I was, like, probably this tall and skin and bone.
Yeah, that's what happens. It's funny because it's like at some point in your life, you kind of change from being the youngest one in the group to being like, you're old. Like, for instance, it was my 4th year, and I don't know if you know Kyle Monroe, right?
Yeah, yep.
He was a dynamic duo, a buddy of his Harrison Kelly. They were always just misfits, and they started calling me grandpa, and I was thinking like I'm 22. No, I'm 21. And I'm like, bro, I'm 21. Like, I ain't no grandpa. But then that kind of changed when I was like 6 years, still like trying to coach with the team in cross country. And then that's when I was like, oh God, these are like, there's 18-year-olds here. Like, that's weird.
Right.
Because what, you guys are what? Jordan, you're 19?
Yeah.
I think no, you're 20 or 19.
I'm 19. I turned 20 in a month. I should be a year younger, like a grade below, but I started school a year early. Because I hate myself, I guess.
Nah. I don't know if that was your decision.
5-year-old me was
wasn't.
just like, yeah, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be a great idea.
Yeah, free childcare. Just push
But yeah, that's crazy. That's hard taking something like that and making it not necessarily positive, but like
Seeing the
kind
bright
of
side of it.
yeah, being okay with it. But
Yeah.
Jordan, I've asked a lot. Do you have any questions? Because I have more. I'll keep going, but I wanna give you a chance.
Yeah, him talking about warming up in that foot of snow made me think of something.
Sure.
It's sort of like a free ball question. Because
Okay.
like I'm super into like really terrible conditions, which is uncommon. But if you were to be able to pick like the cloud cover, the rain, no rain, wind, ground conditions, what would
I
be
hate wind. Stop
your
it. Don't say wind.
ideal race conditions for a cross country race?
Ooh, cross
Like
country.
weather wise and everything.
That's tough. I kind of felt like I kind of just like dealt with cross country as like a tune-up sport for track.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds bad. Coach O'Brien would probably hate that, but he knows.
He loves that.
Yeah, right. But yeah, you know what? That's a great question because cross country is such like a hit or miss day, and like times don't really matter. I mean, they matter, but in the grand scheme of things, it's like place.
Right,
You know,
right.
because we're all kind of dealt with the same cards there. But I'd say a light breeze
Okay.
on an overcast day
Yeah.
Okay.
with a dew point. This is something you got to look into.
A
Dew
dew
point
point.
research. Yeah.
Okay.
Dew
Okay.
point of 55 degrees.
I
I know it sounds
So
outrageous,
specific.
but there's so much science behind that I never even knew. One of my buddies is a professor at Scranton who talked about this stuff, and overcast, maybe like 60 degrees outside, and flat as a pancake ideally, because that's my bread and butter. Like if it's on a rail trail out and back, gosh, that's just great. Where you can just open up. But like these hills, I mean, even Union Canal Tunnel Park, as flat as that is, I use air quotations. Whoever listens to this, not on YouTube, it is relatively flat. There's maybe like 6 feet of elevation until you get to that one hill where you have to go onto like this little packed gravel part by the canal, and it just throws a giant wrench into your system that just breaks all rhythm. And you're like, oh, I'd rather run at DeSales, honestly.
I'd rather run at DeSales. If you're gonna give me this hill, give me them all. I'll take them all.
Yeah, seriously. But I think I answered all your variables there.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the dew point was something I was not expecting.
Yeah, Google it.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to research that.
A dew point of 55. I gotta remember it.
Yeah, because it's like anything I think above 70 is like your efforts are like completely wasted, or like they're just not nearly as good as what you could do. Like you're not going to PR that day.
Wow.
Oh.
Okay. That's
Most
interesting.
likely. Yeah.
That's interesting.
I never even heard of that.
I didn't know there was like that much research behind it where you could say stuff like that. That's
yeah. It kind of deals with like humidity as well. It's
okay.
That's like what Darren was talking about with sunscreen and how it like keeps the heat off your skin.
Yes, Darren said
like,
something like he like cakes his body in sunscreen before he runs because it like I don't know. I've never heard anything like it before, but I'm like, to each his own. Like if you're gonna do it, go for it.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, he said it like repels the heat or something like that, makes you not as hot.
That's interesting.
And like your performance is increased.
And I was like, all right. I mean, here's some sunscreen. Go for it. I just put it on my tattoo so it doesn't fade, but you do you.
Little did you know.
That part of my skin is actually very, very athletic right now because it just doesn't get hot.
There it is. You know what?
But
that's just what happens. Or you're just more aerodynamic, you know?
Yes, the wind it's able to your skin is sleeker, so it just
slips right off you.
Bingo.
Exactly. You just kind of cut through the air. Swimming.
That's amazing. Man, can you believe we're already at 50 minutes? It really genuinely has felt like 10.
Yeah.
This
has been a lot of fun.
It goes so fast. Is there any other like last minute, not last minute, you have 10 minutes left, but closing things you want to say or you want to add that we cut off when we asked all of our questions?
Oh God, no. I mean, the accolades are the things that are like, the things that stand out for your career, kind of the things that you remember.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of learning points I kind of left with you there, with the Tufts run.
Right.
Other than that, I'd say, quite honestly, if you're a distance runner, get in the gym. As much as like we don't like the lift and we got like T-Rex arms, like it's something that needs to happen just so we don't get injured.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like the inner PT me coming out there, but I really wish that was something. And you guys have it now, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
I think Hats is still there, right?
No, Hats left. We have Logan. If you ever met Logan, Logan Reaver. I don't know if you ever
Oh,
met
I
him or
have
not.
no.
Yeah, so
Oh,
he's
actually,
the interim now.
He was a student, right?
Yes, he's the
Yep.
multi in track. He did multi. I think
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Totally. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah. Nice kid.
Yes, and
Mhm.
super, super good. And since he comes from running, or track, I should say, he understands. He focuses more on kind of what helps runners more than Hats did. I say not bad mouthing Hats at all. I loved him. Had him
He's
for my
great.
whole freshman year.
Mhm.
But I think Logan does a good job at kind of recognizing that we're not, lifters, if that makes sense.
Correct. Yeah, like us not trying to do like hang cleans or like
Exactly.
jerks and like
Right.
there
So
for sure.
Would you guys actually do that stuff? Like
No,
heavy lifts
the
like
sprinters
that?
did. Yeah, like we had we had because I think Nick Skolin, Kyle Frank, and Terrence had to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was good.
I
That's
wouldn't
crazy.
even know how to begin to do a clean.
Oh
Dude,
gosh,
it's fun.
yeah.
They're so fun. I love them.
Start off light if you do them. That's for sure.
Your guts will explode out your butt.
Yeah, seriously.
That's
But yeah,
what my
other than
mom.
that, I think you can look at my times wherever.
I actually, while you said that, I interrupt again, but I want to hear this 400 hurdle story. I didn't know you
God,
ran that.
yeah, that one was
Oh,
so
yeah.
fun. Yeah, that was such a good race. That was that was steeple training. Coach O'Brien was like, "Yeah, you're gonna do the 400 hurdles." I was like,
Because they're
"Sure."
the same height.
Exactly. Yeah. So actually, earlier that day, I don't think too much. Like I think maybe an hour before, if that, I did the 1500, and so I tried to like PR in that. I don't know the time. I could probably find the time somewhere. Let me see. When was that?
That was, I can tell you the day. It was, let's see. I got your T-first pulled up. It
I love
was
T-Verse.
March 28th or 29th in 2014.
2014. What a year.
There you go. You
What
got
a
12.
year. That was I don't think I broke 4 that day, but that year I broke 4 at Max. I think Max was at Widener. Yeah, that was fun. I was like beat from the 1500, and coach is like, "All right, you're gonna do the 400 hurdles, and we're gonna see how it goes." And so typically anything from the 400 down, everybody uses blocks, right?
Yep.
Right.
So Andrew here has never used blocks except for jokingly kind of making fun of his sprinter friends, saying like, "Look how silly you are! I'm faster than you in the 400 type deal." And so I'm the only lone soul looking like an idiot standing at the starting line. And you know how long it takes for sprinters to get in the blocks comparatively for distance runners?
Right.
So like when they say set, at first I was like, "All right, I'm ready to go." And then and then I think they false started, if I'm not mistaken. But like when they said set again, I just stood there like, all right, like let 10 minutes go by. And so finally like the gun went off, and it was a hard race. The first like 150 meters, you're like killing it. You're like you're just going through it. And most 400 hurdle guys count their steps. They know their steps in between each hurdle. And I'm over here a steeple where you jump off either leg, whatever's most
Right.
convenient. So I probably look the most ridiculous.
Just in the right leg, left leg, right leg.
And then the 200 to go, I was like, oh my gosh, it feels like the last lap of a steeple.
Mhm.
And then the last 100 meters, I forget how many hurdles are in there, but they were not pretty. I had finished, and I was like, thank God that is over. And the thing is, I don't think it'd be any different if I ran the 15 or not that day, because it's a shorter event, but still
Yeah,
challenging. Yeah.
I was gonna say, anytime a sprinter does a distance event, it is comical. Every single time. We had one race. It was, I think, a quad meet at our high school, and my coach, for some reason, put me in the 100 just for fun. It wasn't like there was a workout with it. He was like, "Yeah, just run the 100, and you're gonna run the 2 mile later." I was like, "Okay, sounds great." So I lined up, and all of my distance runner friends were in the 100. So he put a heat together of where it was just distance runner friends. So we all got in there, and I knew how to use blocks because our sprinter coach I'm good friends with. So he taught me like the day before the meet how to use blocks. So I'm over there, getting my blocks set up in my 2K or 3K spikes. And then all my other distance runner friends in their 3K, 5K spikes are, shaking out their legs like it's a distance race. And I get into my blocks, and I take as much time as I can. Like they say set, and I'm over here like I don't even drop down. I'm just sitting like, oh, don't worry, you guys have no idea. This takes me 5 minutes to get set up. I do like the leg kickback thing, and I'm all getting ready. Like it's a 100 that means nothing. And everybody's just like, Noah, are you serious? Like, come on, let's get this rolling. So yes, then we raced, and I won, and I blamed it all solely on the blocks. I was like, yeah, you guys didn't use blocks. But it was like hand timing. So everybody's like, just because you had shaky hands, just clicking the button 8 times.
Yeah.
But
it's like in high school, and they hand out those popsicles too.
Yeah. Popsicle sticks.
Just, oh, that one was mine. That's funny.
Wild, man.
I love it. Anytime distance runners line up for sprinting, because it's like we're coordinated, I feel like, when it comes to distance running.
Mm-hmm.
But when you move your body in just a little bit of a different way, and that's sprinting, because it's a different like exercise. You use a whole different set of muscles.
Yep. Oh, yeah. And it's totally different than a kick at the end of a race. Like when you're sprinting fresh,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
because it's a completely different form and stride.
Yeah, form is something we kind of forget at high speeds.
Yep.
Because like you're saying, Jordan, at the end of a race, we just look like we're trying to not fall over, falling forward.
Yep.
While like sprinters are like textbook coming through, like it looks pristine.
Yep.
We're just trying to save face.
That's hilarious. I love that. All right. So that's pretty much all the time we have today. Is there any last things you want to say?
Ooh, gosh, get out there, stretch after every run, warm up before every run, work out a couple times a week for that injury prevention. And if you get a chance to study abroad, go and study abroad.
Okay.
All
Good
right.
words from a PT. I like it.
Wait, where did you study abroad? Did you mention that earlier? And I
did
just
not.
Not paying attention.
No, you guys are good. I did a full semester in New Zealand.
Holy cow. That's beautiful.
Nice.
It was fun. And it was great. It was a great option because they all speak English.
Oh, okay. Look at that. I tried to learn Spanish. It didn't really go well.
It's challenging if you're not immersed, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Cool beans. Well, I do want to take a second real quick and thank some people. I obviously want to say thank you to Andy for coming on here. Obviously didn't have to say yes. Very nice guy. Very nice of him to come on and kind of share his story. I want to say a quick thank you to Ethan, our audio guy. He does a great job every week of kind of fixing our audio because, my Wi-Fi is just the best. And so it records so well. So I want to say thank you to him because we put him in less than ideal conditions and he always comes out with something better than I could even expect. So thank you to Ethan. And yeah, we hope to see you guys all back here next week. Until then, have fun, stay safe, and we'll see you later. Goodbye.
Awesome. Thank you.